from me. I never let you see. I keep it caged, but I can't control it. So stay away from me. The beast is ugly. I feel the rage and I just can't hold it. It's scratching on the walls, in the closet, in the halls. It comes awake and I can't control it. Hiding under the bed, in my body, in my head. Why won't
and they're coming off the turn four. The flagman has got the flag in. Here we go. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
It's just beneath the skin. I must confess that I feel like a monster. I hate what I've become. The nightmare's just begun. I must confess that I feel like a monster. I feel like a monster. I feel like a monster.
One of the most iconic tracks in NASCAR is found in Concord, North Carolina. Just outside of Charlotte lies Charlotte Motor Speedway, a 1.5-mile track famous for the 600-mile race held here on Memorial Day weekend. 195 miles sits between this field and the checkered flag as these drivers are itching to race. Good evening, race fans. My name is Chris Roscoe, Robert McKay alongside. A lot of crazy finishes have happened here and a lot of action is waiting ahead. The sun has already fallen and the lights are on. Now, Robert, how differently do you approach racing at night rather than in the day?
Now, I think the biggest difference is the grip, right? Obviously, with it being at night, the sun isn't absolutely pounding down on the track and making the track temp higher, which helps the overall grip of the car.
Absolutely. These drivers qualifying still underway. A couple minutes left in this as we look around this beautiful facility here in North Carolina. Now, Robert, take us a lap around this track as if you were in one of these giant NASCAR stock cars.
Alrighty, so heading into turn one, you want to let off. Sometimes with certain cars, most notably the ARCA car from personal experience, depends on the setup, you can go full throttle. Don't go full throttle. If you go full throttle, you will be up into the wall and your day will be over. So you feather it coming into turn one, let off. About mid-corner, you want to start applying some gas, but not too much because you'll either spin or go into the wall. Once you're about halfway through turn two, you want to floor it. Get nice and high coming out of the corner and gun it down the backstretch. Now, once you get to about the entrance of turn three, again, similar to turn one, you let off completely. Go down the track, wrap around the apron, mid-corner, start to apply the gas, and once you get about mid-turn four, you floor it and try to cut that tri-oval as much as possible, and that's the lap.
Absolutely. Very fast, very tough to navigate, and even more tough when you got 5, 10, 15 drivers behind you all pounding your rear bumper trying to get around you. How much harder is it? Yeah, how much harder is it with all the pressure behind you?
Well, it's more of a mental state, right? Aero isn't really affected depending on how many people behind you. If you have 15, 20, 25, 30, it doesn't matter. It's more of a mental state of mind, right? If you know, oh, I have no one behind me, you have less mental stress on not messing it up. But if you have the entire field behind you, you're like, oh crap, I cannot mess this up.
Absolutely. And it's nighttime, so cooler temperatures, more grip, and potentially more tire fall off as the runs go on. Now, looking back at last week, unable to get one of our crews out to Daytona to get that race broadcasted, but Trevor Kelly in that 36 Toyota winning at Daytona in a photo finish. Will Byers finishing second, Owen Christensen third, Justin Morrow, Kyle Davidson fourth, fifth. That's the top five from last week, and the points run as is. Now, if you're Trevor Kelly and you come into this race with that win on your back, you have the points lead, and then you come out and looking at the top ticker, second in qualifying. How confident are you in this race that you can keep the points lead?
Well, I would be extremely confident as far as, having the win on your back and being second. But may I add, right now, as it stands, He is almost 4/10 off Richard Eisel, who has provisional pole. So that is also something that I bet money is weighing on the back of his mind. Being that far off Richard, is he going to dominate all day? Or is this just a one-time fluke thing like Chase Briscoe is in the Cup Series right now?
Absolutely. And those two being teammates, do you back off of him to kind of preserve both your motors as you two are teammates? Or do you kind of race it out as, hey, we're teammates, we kind of know how each other race, let's go at it and let's see who's the better one?
I want to be more worried about the motors, more the less worried about the tires.
Absolutely. These drivers getting ready to grid. These ready to get underway. Just waiting for these drivers to make their way towards pit road. Qualifying has just finished up. Richard Eisel landing his Ford Mustang on the pole. Trevor Kelly gets his Toyota in second. Justin Morrow third. Will Byers fourth. Richard Walls in fifth. Curtis Fife sixth. Robert McKay joining me in the booth. 6 drivers entering tonight's event, as opposed to 7 from last week's event. A lot of points on the table for these drivers. Let's see how they all fare.
Alrighty, and now to give the most famous words in motorsport is obviously myself, because we don't have anyone else here in the booth with us. Alright, gentlemen, it is time. Drivers, start your engines. As engines get fired up here, we are ready to go racing here in the NLG Xfinity Series.
130 laps here at Charlotte. 1.5 mile track equates to 195 miles, just short of 200. Robert, you have this distance in your head. You have the finish line in your head. You know how far you have to go. How do you prepare for going that far, and when do you start pushing your car as hard as it can go?
Well, honestly, it depends, right? Obviously, we don't have stage breaks or anything like that. It is a sprint to the finish, 130 laps, right? So, honestly, you obviously want to push a little bit at the beginning, right? Because if you don't, you're just going to get the doors blown off your car to an extent, right? So, I think the best thing that you can do as a driver is to wait until you need to push. And I know it's a very vague answer, right? It is not an exact, like, oh, you want to push at this lap. But it's true, right? You're not going to look at the race and go, I'm going to push on lap 80 to 90 and then push on lap 100 to 105, right? You're going to push when you need to push, when a car behind you is challenging or the leader is pulling in front of you and you're losing time on them, right? So it all really depends on the situation you're in.
Absolutely. These drivers, as they come off of turn number 4, we'll see the pace car take that hard left into pit road. They come down to the restart zone. Green flag in the air. We're racing here at Charlotte.
As the 92 gets a horrible start. Looks like he fell back a bit, but looks to be all right, as Richard Eisel keeps the lead here at the beginning, with Trevor Kelly chasing him from behind in that M&M's Supra. Already a very interesting battle here unfolding here at the start of the pack, as Trevor Kelly gets loose, saves it. Oh no, he is sideways, but saves it, no caution.
What is saved by Trevor Kelly. And we were talking in the pre-race show about how having that win, having that second position starting spot was going to affect this driver, and we already saw it coming out of turn number 4, getting sideways and managing to keep that car damage-free, but not really sure if his ego is damage-free after that.
It definitely has a couple bruises, right? And I've done it one too many times to count. Everyone has done it a few times. But what you got to do is you got to put it in your rearview mirror. You cannot let it affect you in the long run.
Absolutely. Will Byers finished second last week at Daytona. Riding on board with him, trying to chase down Curtis Fife. It was the battle for second after we saw Trevor Kelly get loose.
And looking at him, he is struggling at the back, scraping the wall a little bit, riding up higher. Hopefully he can kind of recoup and catch up to the pack.
Absolutely. Curtis Fife sitting second right now, getting a little bit of pressure from Will Byers. Riding higher up the track. He's sitting currently tied 7th in points with an 8th place finishing in the final position last week at Daytona. Really looking for good points, and right now in a good position for some as he rides up the track. And Will Byers on the wall again.
It is not a good race for him.
That is twice now that Will has hit the wall coming out of turn number 4.
Will that affect him in the long run?
We have yet to find out. That right side is very, very important for aerodynamics in these cars. They're made out of sheet metal, so they bend fairly easily. But right now, it seems to be pulling away from Curtis Fife, so it doesn't look to be too damaging for his race so far.
Yeah, I don't see really any much damage here on the right side of his car. He might be fine, but he cannot keep abusing the car.
Absolutely.
As we look at the back of the pack, and who do I see? Trevor Kelly. He is slowly but surely gaining on Justin Morrow, who is also at the back in P5. Looks like Trevor Kelly finally got his head on right and is making up some ground.
Absolutely riding on board with Trevor Kelly. Let's take a lap with Trevor. See how you attack this race. Running the high side through 1 and 2. Trying to keep that momentum from the high side. Into 3 and 4, he's look backwards, not really seeing anything. Back out of the windshield. That's a lap here at Charlotte.
And as we were riding on board, the battle for second between Will Byers and Curtis File has heated up as they both exit turn 2, battling ferociously, those two manufacturer teammates, as Curtis File looks to the inside and Will Byers defends.
Leslie riding on board with Curtis Fife right now, coming out turn number 4. Curtis Fife finds the wall, as he saw Will Byers do multiple times earlier this race.
Exactly, and every driver is going to find the wall at some point or another. It's inevitable, especially when you can run higher and be fast. You see it at Homestead, you see it at Darlington with the Darlington Strip. The wall is a magnet, and at some point your car is going to get attracted to it. Now, it's how hard you hit the wall that'll make or break your race.
Absolutely, these two going at it fairly hard early in this event, running 2 and 3. Richard Eisel way out in front. Take a look at this 97 Ford Mustang.
Yeah, an absolute domination by the Ford Mustangs today. 1, 2, and 3, with the Supras 4th and 5th, as Trevor Kelly passes Justin Morrow, who is loose.
Justin Morrow in that 46 Chevrolet, bringing up the rear of tonight's event.
Struggling a bit. As Curtis File looks to the inside of Will Byers, but does not make it as they head down the backstretch within inches of each other. As Will File keeps attacking him into the bottom, but Will Byers with an excellent defense. But is it enough? They are side by side heading through the tri-oval.
I don't know who led that lap. But
Richard
Fife,
Eisel, he is the leader. But who has P2? According to mine, it is Will Byers.
Curtis Fife taking the lead through 1 and 2. You watch that battle. Continuing to watch that battle as Will Byers looks to do a repeat of what Fife does to no avail. And he finds the wall again.
Now, this is exactly what Richard Eisel wants. Second and third place are fighting. They are battling. They are slowing each other down. That just gives Richard Eisel the perfect opportunity to gain more ground on them. As Justin Morrow enters the pits with a lot of damage to his race car. Not quite sure what happened yet, but hopefully we can get a replay here soon.
Riding on board with Richard Eisel, you can just see just how far back Curtis Fife and Will Byers are. Not even able to see them through the corners. You saw a glimpse of them as he was entering turn number 1.
As Justin Morrows is out of the race. Unfortunately, we do not have a replay, but what it looks to be is that he came down off the apron on turn 2, bounced and hit the wall almost head on, was able to keep it off track and avoid a caution. An unfortunate end to a race for Justin Morrow, and an unfortunate end for the Chevrolet camp, as he was the only Chevrolet car to enter this race tonight.
The replay of Justin Morrow coming down pit road. A lot of damage to the front end of that Chevrolet Camaro as he locks it up trying to get to his pit box.
Yeah, and again, an unfortunate end to a really good race by him, running in the top 5, but it is what it is.
Absolutely. Will Byers, Curtis Fife still going at it. Will Byers now having the advantage over Curtis Fife. This is the battle for position number 2, trying to chase down Richard Eisel as car on the wall. That was Trevor Kelly. Just got in the wall.
Yes, and although he was in the wall, he is creeping up on them 2.5 seconds back. He may be a fight for second here in 2, 3, 4 laps if he keeps putting up these 30-second laps.
Absolutely.
As we look here, Curtis File last lap was a 33.0 as he hits the wall again. He is struggling as he dips down and allows Trevor Kelly to pass. What happened there?
It just looks like he just sent it too hard into the corner and found the outside wall. Very easy to do once you cook the tires, is just push the car way too far as we see Curtis Fife coming down pit road.
Again, drivers pushing too hard here at the very beginning, paying the price, learning hard, as we only have 4 drivers on track now.
Curtis Fife coming down pit road, maybe having a little bit of damage from brushing the wall. Doesn't seem like too much. Maybe needs some fresh tires after cooking his earlier this race.
It looks like he uses either a fast repair or just has quick damage as his damage is fixed, as he throws on 4 fresh Goodyear Eagle tires, splashes Sunoco racing fuel, and he'll be right back on track.
Richard Eisel still in very much control of this race, having led all laps from the drop of the green flag, currently working lap 19, coming to lap 20 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. 130 laps in tonight's event, 111 left to go.
I know earlier I said, when you asked me about Trevor Kelly and that mindset, I said, is this going to be a Richard Eisel dominating race with him being 4/10 faster than the guy in second place, which was Trevor Kelly? I don't know. It's looking like that.
Absolutely, but how much is Eisel saving his car, saving his tires, and how much is he pushing, trying to build himself a cushion?
It's hard to tell, right? Looking at his lap times, it looks like he is running the same pace that he has been running since about lap 10. It's about 7/10 slower, which is due to tire wear, and it could be partially due to him backing down. I think he's just running his race.
Absolutely. It's Curtis Fife brings out the yellow flag. Let's take a look at this incident. Just gets loose coming out of turn number 2, brushes the outside wall, hits it again, and oh, that's a hard hit into that angled wall down the backstretch, and motor blew up. Looks to be the end of Curtis Fife's days. He's currently in the garage.
Yeah, and he used that fast repair earlier for that minor damage. Again, I'm not entirely sure how many fast repairs these gentlemen have, but usually the standard is 1. So it could be the end to Curtis Fife's day, but we don't know yet. Only one way to find out.
Absolutely. Curtis Fife in the garage right now. With a blown motor, you're looking at about 40 minutes, 45 minutes of repairs to even make minimum speed.
That is if he doesn't have a fast repair. If he has a fast repair, he can get right back out on track. As it looks like everybody is coming down to pit road for 4 fresh Goodyear Eagle tires and a big gulp of Sunoco Racing fuel. Now, as Richard Eisel Rosca, how devastating is this to your race? You had a 7-second lead, and there's a caution on the speedway.
Absolutely, it's a little bit demoralizing because you know you built up a big cushion and now it's gone. But it's also not too bad because you built up a cushion. So you know what that means. It means you can do it again. So this just gives an opportunity for Richard Eisel to clear his mind to say, hey, I built up a 7-second cushion over the rest of the field. I can do it again.
Exactly. Now that's dependent because Trevor Kelly spun earlier in the event, was not able to really fight with him, but he was catching up. He was staying up with him. So do you think this is a breath of fresh air for Trevor Kelly?
Absolutely. You know you had that issue on lap 1 coming out of turn number 4. So you know if you just avoid that, you know you have the same pace as Richard Eisel. You know you can keep up with Richard Eisel. You know, as long as I don't make the same mistake I did last time, I can contend for the win. I can contend for the lead. I can keep Will Byers and Richard Wallace behind me. I know I can fight with Richard Eisel, and I feel fairly confident that I can win. I think that's what's going through Trevor's head is that, hey, I'm just as fast as Richard Eisel. I can keep up with him. I think I can beat him. I just have to go and do it. So I think that's what's going through his head is he just needs to go in and just do what he knows he can do. Or what he thinks he can do.
And that better be his mentality because the lights on the pace car are off. 1 to go here. Going to be restarting with 115-ish, 105 laps to go. Somewhere in that range. I'm bad at math.
Math not your strong suit, huh?
It is not my strong suit. There is a reason why it is my lowest grade in school. As actually the caution has been extended by race control. Lights on the pace car are back on as we will be doing another lap before we go 1 to green.
And I think I know why. Curtis Fife coming out of pit road. That 60 machine all repaired. Ready to come back out.
He must have Guido on his pit crew.
Currently showing 4 laps down. I'm surprised that machine is running after that hit.
Again, he must have Guido on his pit crew from cars, I'm telling you. So I wonder if they're extending the caution to maybe give him a wave around or 2.
No,
not entirely.
The caution is so that way Curtis Fife can make it back to the pace field.
Got it.
But man, what a performance by the 60s pit crew to get this car back out on field. Glad Curtis Fife is okay after that hit. So we'll see him back on track 4 laps to go. Couple more cautions. We'll see Curtis Fife back on the lead lap as long as he isn't part of them.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. Not being a part of it, right? Actually, I was correct. Looks like race control is waving Curtis Fife around. He will be 3 laps down. So maybe under the next caution, they will try to give him back the rest of his laps. But as far as iRacing's lucky dog goes, the biggest thing is to be as clean as possible in order to get the wave around. Right, the way, for the viewers at home that don't exactly know how iRacing controls the lucky dog or the wave around system, is if you get any sort of incident point, whether that be going in the grass, hitting the wall, hitting another driver, wrecking, whatever the case is, spinning, losing control, going sideways, they will not award you the wave around. They will not award you the lucky dog. Now, this is to prevent people from intentionally wrecking another driver to get the wave around, but unfortunately, sometimes it does more harm than good.
Absolutely. The pace lights are out. Once again, Curtis Fife still on his way around. As the pace car dives back to pit road. Curtis Fife catching up. Green flag is out. Curtis Fife slowing back down to avoid a penalty as we're back under green.
Curtis Fife almost tried to pull a Kyle Busch in Daytona in 2008 there, but it is outlawed. You cannot do that. As Richard Eisel extends his lead really early on, getting a nice little gap between him and Will Byers. As Richard Wells falls behind, so does Curtis Fife.
Curtis Fife still paying the price for having to slam on the brakes to avoid passing, still trying to get back up to speed. Right on board with Will Byers, still looking at the rear bumper of Richard Eisel, as he's been doing for most of this race.
I'm pretty sure Will Byers is going to want a nice Mountain Dew Baja Blast after this one, after staring at the words Baja Blast the entire race. But hey,
I think Trevor Kelly might want some Taco Bell after looking at Will Byers' bumper all race.
Oh, great, now we're making sponsor jokes.
Richard Eisel leading lap 28 out of 130. Will Byers right behind him. For the folks you just joining, just had caution number 1, lap 22. Curtis Fife spinning out of turn number 2, bringing out the first caution.
Speaking of Curtis Fife, it is not for position since he's a lap down, but Curtis Fife has just passed Richard Walls after having a little battle, as the two of them are still battling back out there, but it means absolutely nothing because Curtis Fife
side by
is
side for
down.
the lead. Will Byers leads the first laps of the race. Richard Eisel falling back to P number 2. Side by side through turn number 3, and here comes Trevor Kelly trying to spoil the party.
The Mustang Taco Bell battle up front for the lead as they head into turn 3, still side by side, as it looks like Will Byers might clear, as he doesn't, and they make contact heading to the line.
Richard Eisel on the wall off of turn number 2, now falling couple car lengths back of Will Byers. Your new race leader, Will Byers. First laps led by not Richard Eisel after the start of this race. Lap 30 of 130.
And guess what? Trevor Kelly smells blood. He is gaining on Richard Eisel, looking to want a sip of that Baja Blast. He is gaining on Richard Eisel. Could this be the end of a dominant, potential dominant race for Richard Eisel? Or do you think he'll catch back up and pass Will Byers?
Oh, these top 3 are within half a second. Anything can happen. Trevor Kelly gaining. Still right in the slipstream of his teammate, as his teammate's trying to do something on Will Byers.
The points leader hunting down the 2 Ford Taco Bell machines as they almost go side by side. Richard Eisel is up the bumper of Will Byers. What a battle here for the lead.
Right on board with Will Byers, looking back at Richard Eisel, just absolute domination from Richard Eisel earlier this race. Not doing as well as he wants to after that restart.
Yes, absolutely. But Now the top 3 is within 4/10 of each other. Every lap they get closer and closer and closer as Richard Eisel looks to make a move up on the high side, touches the wall, and doesn't make it come to fruition. As they're still battling out front for the lead, Richard Eisel trying to go high, trying to go low, trying to find something to pass Will Byers. He is pounding down on Will Byers, trying to make him crack as he dives down to the inside, heading through turn 3 and 4, but doesn't make it work. Will Byers still in the lead, but not extending it like Richard Eisel was able to do before the caution.
I know it's a little early, but I brought up in the opening of this broadcast that a lot of crazy finishes have happened here, a lot of crazy battles, a lot of hard-fought laps, and a lot of hard-fought incidents, and a lot of rivalries have been brought here too, because this is a very equal track. A lot of people are good here, a lot of people are great here, and it's just, I think we're looking at this battle, it's a great battle, and I think we're shaping down to a great finish if this can stay clean.
Now, as we were paying attention to the Taco Brothers, is what I'm going to call them from now on, Trevor Kelly has unfortunately fallen back a little bit. He's been running higher than usual, tapping the wall a little bit, but he is still a second. He is still within some sort of striking distance from Will Byers and Richard Eisel as they continue to battle within 2/10 of each other. This time 1.03 from at the line. They are still battling each other, still bumping bumpers. What an absolutely insane battle here that has lasted for over 7 laps.
Absolutely. These two still going at it. They've been going at it since the drop of the green flag after that caution on lap 25. So they've been going at this for about 9 laps. And neither one of these drivers letting them get away. Still going at it, still going hard.
As they are now almost side by side heading into turn 1. Richard Eisel looking to make the attack, looking to make the pass on Will Byers.
Going into turn number 3. That's Will Byers in the 53. Richard Eisel in the 97, side by side. These two have been going at it.
Yeah, they just keep trading positions, trading paints, bumper to bumper for the last 10 laps now. What an absolutely insane battle that if you stuck around for the beginning before the caution would never expect.
Absolutely. Before the caution came out, lap 24, Richard Eisel built himself a 7-second lead over Will Byers. His teammate spinning out lap 1, falling back to 6th and clawing his way back up to 4th before the caution came out. These two have been going at it since the drop of the green flag, side by side. Trevor Kelly was part of that, currently your points leader in the Next Level Gaming Xfinity Series. Won last weekend at Daytona. Currently,
yes, but now unfortunately he is 4 seconds off the two, 53 and 97, as they're still side by side.
These two trading the lead back and back as if this was the final lap. These two going at it as hard as they would be if this were the final closing laps. Richard Eisel throws a big block down the back straightaway. Still managing to keep his lead over Richard Eisel.
Incredible blocking, incredible defense, incredible driving by these two drivers here. Just being able to keep side by side this long, giving out these big blocks. as Richard Eisel takes the lead, and will he extend it like before? I don't know, it may be looking like that here.
Riding on board with Richard Eisel, looking backward at Will Byers.
Yes, and as these two chase each other down, Trevor Kelly is falling further and further behind, now 5.1 seconds behind Will Byers in P2. Richard Walls, P4, almost 11 seconds behind. If it stays green, we may be looking at him getting lapped within the next 10-15 laps. As he continues this pace, as he lost yet another 7/10 that lap to the leader, Richard Eisel, as he is slowly but surely leaving more and more space between him and Will Byers.
Pull up the track map. This is the battle entering turn number 1, that 97 battle 36, Trevor Kelly. Entering turn number 1. Richard Walls, you see him entering exiting turn number 2. And here's Curtis Fife entering turn number 1. Currently showing 3 laps down and a little bit off the pace, but not too significant. Remember, he had that wreck on lap 22 to bring out our one and only caution so far in tonight's event. So I wonder if that's playing into his mental, if he's playing it a little bit safer to try and avoid doing that again.
Of course he is, but as I'm looking at him, he is running very low, hitting the apron, touching the wall a bit. Looks like he might be struggling with his race car a little bit, as he is really fighting the car heading into the corner. Really fighting as he hits the wall hard. He is fighting that thing as he sustains a little bit of damage to his right front.
And we just saw Curtis Fife brush against the outside wall. He did that earlier tonight's event. Did it again on lap 22 to then wreck. I see that those front wheels turned a lot in 3 and 4. Wonder if he's just not having the front end grip that he's been wanting and really fighting the car to get this car to turn.
He is fighting it very hard, as I, on my end, am looking at his in-car camera, especially in turn 1 and 2. He is cranking that thing almost 90 degrees to the left. He is fighting that thing.
Absolutely. Riding on board, looking at his steering wheel. His steering wheel is pointed 90, almost 100 degrees to the left. Definitely lacking front-end grip trying to get around this racetrack.
Absolutely, and it looks like he might have some damage as I'm watching him kind of struggle even on the straightaways. He is really struggling. Oh boy, as he gets lapped again, now going 4 laps down. Speaking of which, speaking of getting lapped, we haven't really been paying attention to it because we were talking about the people in the back, but Richard Eisel has extended his lead on Will Byers now to a second. I was wrong. Maybe this is a Richard Eisel dominating race, but commentator's curse is a thing, so I don't want to jinx it.
Absolutely. And keep in mind of how hard these two are battling since that caution. And you got to wonder, how much did Will Byers push his tires and push his car to the point of really fighting himself to let Richard Eisel get out in front?
Oh, I think Will Byers pushed it really hard. I think, honestly, he is kind of... He used his equipment up a little bit, so I think he's either A, still trying to push it, still trying to get the most out of his equipment, or just taking it back a notch.
Yeah, there's always that brain games or mind games you gotta play of, can I push my car hard and then back off and make my opponent think that I've wasted my stuff so he'll waste his? Do you wonder if is Will Byers doing this, trying to play some mind games, trying to pull a Darrell Waltrip, trying to get into the head of Richard Eisel, say, hey, I've used up my stuff, go ahead and waste yours, and kind of bluff, and kind of have a poker face?
I'm going to be completely honest, he might be, as I'm looking at his onboard. He is not really steering all that much. Obviously, he's riding the high line, which means that obviously you use less steering. But he is really not putting in a whole lot of steering input. I mean, it is very minimal. So maybe he may be giving a poker face here to Richard Eisel.
This just happened off stream. Curtis Fife bringing it down pit road. Currently putting some new fresh tires onto that 60 machine as he goes another lap down.
I'm going to be honest with you, Rosca. Unless we get a caution and race control decides to give him his laps back, this is game over for Curtis Fife. It is going to be very hard. It's going to be hard, almost impossible, for him to gain all those laps, considering that we've only had one caution with 54 laps, and he is now 5, about to go 6 laps down. This might be day over for Curtis Fife.
Absolutely. And remember, lap 22, he was the caution. So it's not like he has someone else that was like, hey, he caused a caution before, maybe he can cause one again. Curtis Fife was the cause of the caution. So there really isn't a backdrop for him. And I think Curtis Fife is just out here just to collect the points at this point, because he's currently last in the points, 37 points, 10 points behind our points leader, Trevor Kelly. So I think he's out here just to get some points and just to basically say, hey, it was a bad race, but it wasn't a complete waste. I still got some points out of it. I'm still looking towards the championship. And speaking of the championship, there's only about 9-10 races on the schedule, so not a lot of opportunity for him to come back.
Exactly. Now, as you were talking, I've been looking at the different drivers. I bet you right now, Richard Wall's minds, the theme from Jaws is playing, because Richard Eisel, the leader, is slowly but surely gaining on Richard Walls, threatening to put him a lap down. As Richard Walls currently enters turn 1, as Richard Eisel crosses the start-finish line. Again, as I said, the Jaws theme is playing in Richard Wall's mind as Richard Eisel hunts him down like a shark and is going to try to put him a lap down.
Absolutely. Richard Walls currently not in the point standings at all as he cuts through the grass, trying to avoid the wall. Manages to keep that car somewhat clean. Still got a little bit of grass stains on those tires, but Richard Walls missing Daytona a week ago. Currently not having any points as he pulls it down towards the apron.
A very interesting way he's driving. I'm going to assume something is wrong with the car, but I'm going to be honest, he looks really, really weird while driving. I'm looking and I don't see any sort of damage on the car, but he is just running low the entire time and not really putting in
to let Richard Eisel go past.
Good sportsman-like move, but I'm very puzzled on the way that Richard Walls is driving as he brings it down around the apron. Trying to come into pit road possibly. Yes, as he downshifts, he will be coming onto pit road. Maybe for a strategy. As he's going extremely slow.
Wonder if he cooked
Only
his tires a little too much.
Maybe. He was only doing 28 miles an hour heading on pit road. Speed limit is 45. I'm very puzzled on Richard Walls.
Absolutely, as we've been focusing on the battle for the lead, Richard Walls. Trevor Kelly makes his way down to pit road, putting himself one lap down.
Now this is definitely for strategy because he's doing the speed limit. He came in orderly. I believe he is going to try to undercut the leaders from a crew chief perspective or from a strategist perspective. This is what I would do. As he comes onto pit road and gets 4 fresh Goodyear Eagle tires and Sunoco fuel as Richard Walls pulls off pit road.
Will Byers, Richard Eisel both coming down pit road. Will Byers currently on pit road. Richard Eisel making his entry. Curtis Fife back out on track, taking a lap back, putting himself 11 laps down.
Exactly. Now,
Will Byers comes out of pit road. Now he is currently 44 seconds behind Richard Eisel. Richard Eisel sitting on pit road, getting service. Did one more lap than Will Byers. Now, Will Byers now at speed, but Richard Eisel coming out. Still has to get up to speed. This is gonna get tight.
Did Will Byers perform an undercut on Richard Eisel?
Will Byers coming out of turn number 2. Richard Eisel making his way onto the backstretch.
As I'm looking back on the replay, trying to figure out what happened. If I had to guess, he hit the wall too hard, and that is exactly what he did.
Richard Eisel, Will Byers side by side. This is for the lead, but right in front, Curtis Fife, Trevor Kelly about to get lapped again.
What a battle here at the front. These two excellent drivers putting on an absolutely amazing show. What a race so far, as we are about halfway through. As Curtis Fife, is right in front of them. He may play a factor. Now, the right thing to do, being 11 laps down, is to pull off to the side or pull up top, let him through.
But which direction do you go? Because they're side by side. You just gotta block one.
If I were him, I would go down to the apron right now, slow down, and let them pass. But that is not what he is doing at all.
And there is no obligation to get out of the way. It is purely out of sportsmanship.
Now, as I said earlier about Richard Walls before he had the incident with the Jaws theme, that is now playing in Trevor Kelly's mind, and he is threatened to get a lap down as he's just ahead Curtis Fife, who is just ahead of the leaders.
Absolutely, and I think Trevor Kelly has that incident from lap 1 still in the back of his head. He knows that he can wreck. He knows that if he pushes too hard, he will wreck. He's currently the points leader, so he has a 3-point buffer on Will Byers. He has a 7-point buffer on your current race leader, Richard Eisel, his teammate. So I wondered if he's laying back, if he's just going for points, going for the title, knowing that he isn't the best driver at this track and that he has next week to look forward to for another chance to win, which they are going to Homestead next week.
And Homestead is a very tricky track, with it almost racing like a dirt track where you have to stick to the top. That's why many great dirt drivers like Kyle Larson and Ryan Blaney succeed there. They do very well, is because you have to run up top the entire time. That is the fast line.
Very fun track to run. I have some success at Homestead, Miami, but I also have a bunch of. It is not one I have a bunch of success, but it's also a lot of failure there too, because I tend to push the car way too hard.
And every driver does that, right? Even real life drivers, like Kyle Larson, especially Kyle Larson, push the car way too hard. Kyle Busch with his RCR equipment pushes the car way too hard. Everybody does it. It's trying not to do that. That is one of the hardest things. Besides actually driving and racing the car, that is one of the hardest things as a racing driver to do.
Yeah, Homestead, Miami is definitely one of the tracks where you race the track instead of the drivers. Like Charlotte. Charlotte is not a hard track. You definitely race the drivers on this track. Homestead, you got to race the track. And it's a lot like Darlington in that manner, and a lot like what track am I thinking of? A lot
Darlington.
of road. I said Darlington. A lot of road courses where you got to race the track. You can't focus on the other drivers. You just got to do the best you can on the track, and let the chips fall where they may. Here, you race the racers. You see these two side by side. You have seen these two side by side. You've seen these two nose to tail. They haven't really let each other out of their sights. And now they're threatening to put Curtis Fife another lap down. They have been for a couple laps. I wonder
Yeah,
if
but
Richard,
Curtis Fife is holding his ground.
as Trevor Kelly gets loose, we watch him
Oh my
spin, double
God.
caution. Lap 72 of 130, caution number 2 in the air. Trevor Kelly goes through a slide through the grass. What a save by Trevor Kelly, but he's going to want some fresh Goodyear tires after that.
What a spin. Holy crap. Looks like he just tapped the wall and got loose coming off turn 4. As he gets air. Looking back on the replay, gets air. What a wreck.
What a save, too.
What a save, indeed.
Absolutely. Let's ride on board. Oop. Let's ride on board. You see Kelly working the steering wheel, trying to keep it off the inside wall, and he does that. Manages to keep this thing going.
I just gotta put that really slow classical music that's behind like those funny fail videos on YouTube. Actually, I might do that. Might be a good short idea.
Absolutely. Get Trevor Kelly some fans after that save. As you see Trevor Kelly make his way down to pit road, no doubt for some fresh Goodyear tires. Richard Eisel, Will Byers, now talking strategy. We had the caution lap 22. We just had some green flag pit stops. Do you come back in to pit road for some more Goodyear rubber, or do you try and stay out and save a set for the end of the race?
It all depends on fuel and how much tires you have left, right? If you can make it another, let's say 20, 30 laps, and your fuel tank is 60 laps, it may make more sense to stay out as far as a fuel strategy goes to make it to the end, right? We have found out that cautions are few and far between, with our first one coming over 40 laps ago. So it honestly depends on the fuel and the tires.
Absolutely. We see Richard Walls. We saw Curtis Fife earlier getting a couple laps back. Richard
Now,
Eisel, Will Byers staying out yet again. These two have been going at it. Now, Richard Eisel undoubtedly needs the points a lot better than Will Byers does. Will Byers only 3 points back of your points leader, Trevor Kelly. Richard Eisel sitting 7 points back, tied for 5th. As the pace lights go out, the field catches back up, double files itself, as we're almost ready to get back to racing.
that was a very short caution period, but some drivers getting their laps back.
Absolutely, and that's a major thing. You see Richard Walls falling or climbing himself back up to only 1 lap down. Curtis Fife sitting 10 laps down. Just a reminder, Justin Morrow had an incident earlier in tonight's event, got loose going into turn number 1, and went head-on into the outside wall. Unfortunately, did not get any evidence or video of that, but he is out and off the track in the garage, trying to get that car fixed and back out on track. Curtis Fife had a couple incidents earlier that race. Was the reason for caution number 1 on lap 22. Still running 10 laps down. So the pace car makes that left-hand turn only for the 3rd time tonight on lap 74. Brings itself down pit road. And the green flag is back out. We're green here at Charlotte for the 3rd time tonight. Will Byers lining up behind Richard Eisel as they head through 1 and 2 up through 1 and 2 up through the gears side by side coming out of turn number 2. Will Byers leading into turn number 3 in that 53 Ford Mustang sponsored by Taco Bell.
Technically, both of them are sponsored by Taco Bell, but one is sponsored by Baja Blast, and the other one is just outright Taco Bell. Now I really want Taco Bell.
What's
But
what's even funnier is these two are not teammates. So these two are just sponsored by the same company just for the fun of it, just like in real life with Bass Pro Shops.
just for the love of the game.
Absolutely. These two going at it yet again. This is a repeat of the restart on lap 25. Richard Eisel, Will Byers sitting second and first respectively.
Now, lurking behind them is the 36 of Trevor Kelly with that Kyle Busch M&M's throwback. Hunting them down again. Only 6/10 off, but is he going to make another fatal mistake again?
I don't want to say. He had that spin on lap number 1, brushed the outside wall, almost spun, managed to save it, lost all of his positions, and then just now had that wreck on lap 74. I was able to get that car saved, and back on track, albeit with some fresh Goodyear tires that aren't stained by the grass. And he's currently sitting in the 3rd position behind his teammate, looking to mount a charge towards Will Byers in the lead and trying to maintain his points lead that he's built up since Daytona.
You know, I should really just stop talking because I said that Trevor Kelly was on the attack, and that lap he lost 4/10 on Richard Eisel and Will Byers. So I'm going to shut up now because commentator's curse is a real thing.
Absolutely. These two, Will Byers, Richard Eisel, been going at it for most of this race, and that story is continuing. Will Byers on the high side, Richard Eisel on the low side. Bumper to bumper.
Again, these two drivers putting on a spectacle, an amazing battle that's been going on and off for the past, 70, 80 laps? Actually, not 70, 80 laps, because it's been the entire race, so let's say about 50, 60 laps. But what a race by these two. I mean, absolute clinical for everyone else, as there was only 3 cars on the lead lap.
Richard Walls making his way down to pit road. You'll see that on the ticker. And honestly, looking at this battle, I don't know who's faster. We've seen Will Byers able to hold his stand. We've seen Richard Eisel been able to drive away. But I don't know who's faster, and I don't know who this is gonna come down to and how this is gonna play out.
I'm gonna put in my pick for the day. I think it's gonna be Richard Eisel. I mean, I'm looking at the way Will Byers is driving. Will Byers is driving very defensively. He is not trying. It doesn't seem like he's trying to make advances. It seems like he is trying to keep Richard Eisel behind him. I think Richard Eisel is faster, and I think once he gets around him, as he's proven time and time again, he will take the lead and he will pull away. Now, the only thing that will stop him, and has the past 2 times, is the rogue caution.
Absolutely, and I'm gonna counter that. I think Will Byers has it in the tank. We've seen timely cautions for Will Byers happen twice already, when he was about 10 seconds behind the leader and sitting in the 3rd position, and just this most recent caution when he was falling back. So I think cautions will be on Will Byers' side, and I think Will Byers will be able to hold off Richard Eisel as we see him doing right now. And I think Will Byers is going to come away with the top spot.
Listen, I just think you're picking Will Byers because I picked Richard Eisel, and you obviously know that Richard Eisel is going to win, but you don't want to be a copycat, so you picked Will Byers. Just saying. As they are side by side heading through turn 3 and 4, getting really close
Byers
to each other.
gets tight into the wall, and Byers goes around. And the caution comes back out again. Will Byers involved in the wreck? I think that goes my pick for tonight's event. We saw him nose into the wall fairly hard.
Hate to say I told you so. That's a song, actually.
Well, you brought up the commentator's curse earlier this race, and it's been playing out this entire race, and this is the most recent instance of it. Caution back out again. Caution number 3 on lap 85 of 130.
The road caution yet again, as Will Byers pushes it too hard. Not a whole lot of damage, though, gonna be honest, compared to other wrecks. He'll be able to get that fixed up pretty quickly, and if he needs to get the Guido Special, aka the fast repair, he can. As everybody comes down on pit road, except for Richard Walls.
And here's a replay of tonight's event. You saw, or this most recent caution. You saw Will Byers just get loose off the corner and into the wall.
Yeah, and the caution is obviously immediately thrown for that pretty heavy impact as he goes sideways. Good save on his part, because if he did not if he did not counter steer, he would have hit head on into the wall, and that is a lot worse.
Absolutely. Smacking the right side is a lot better and a lot more repairable than smacking the front end of your car into the wall. You got a lot of valuables in the under the hood. You got the motor, all of its components. If you hit that hard enough, it will break.
Absolutely,
Sheet
and I know
metal,
that.
sheet metal's a lot easier to fix. You just beat it with a hammer and hope it stays.
Yeah, that's like a lot of things in life, but I digress.
Absolutely. Will Byers able to get the lead after that caution. Able to turn a negative into a positive. Richard Eisel hitting P2. Trevor Kelly still in the 3rd position.
Not exactly sure how that works. Maybe it's just because when the caution was thrown. But I digress. It looks like Richard Eisel's not too happy about that as he gets really close to the back bumper.
Also a reminder, 2 fast repairs in tonight's event. Undoubtedly, Will Byers taking one of those after that wreck. That's probably how he got up towards the lead. Richard Walls back on the lead lap.
We have 4 cars on the lead lap now. Woo! Woo! Yeah!
Curtis Fife still showing 10 laps down in that 60 machine. Involved in the first caution in tonight's event, lap 22, and involved in a couple more incidences that were not cautions, but not the night Curtis Fife is looking for after that poor performance from last week as well. But he's still out on track, still fighting, still having a chance to do at least something.
I can't believe I just said lead nap. Maybe I'm tired.
I think you're turning into Rick Allen.
Could be. As they go down to go through turn 3 and 4 as the pace car lights are off, and it's about to make that infamous left-hand turn onto pit road.
Will Byers, Richard Eisel, that front row. Trevor Kelly, Richard Walls, the other 2 cars on the lead lap as the green flag is back out for the 4th time. And Will Byers takes the lead.
Absolutely amazing restart from Byers, getting a very nice little chunk of lead over Richard Eisel there.
But here comes Richard Eisel hunting for the lead. Shaking his car in anger about not having it, and here he comes around the high side. Richard Eisel puts the pedal to the floor, and he leads this lap, clearing Will Byers. What a pass!
That was an absolutely amazing pass right there. Just gunning it on the outside.
I think this qualifies for the Taco Bell pass of the race.
calling it the Taco Bell pass of the race now.
Okay, the opportunity was there.
Fair.
And Richard Eisel building himself a 6/10 lead and growing, okay, 9/10, about a second lead over Will Byers, and just waving goodbye.
Yeah, looks like Richard Eisel decided he had enough of this whole great passing situation where they're really close and decided to just
Leave.
leave him in his rear view. Yeah, leave him in his rear view mirror and dust him. Absolutely leave him in the dust.
40 laps to go in tonight's event. 130 laps scheduled for tonight's event. 195 miles. We are 91 laps in. 40 laps to go. Fairly soon you'll see the ticker flip to laps to go as we inch closer and closer to that checkered flag. And Richard Eisel inches closer and closer towards the back of the field.
That's a nice way to put it.
Absolutely.
I mean, I told you, Richard Eisel is going to be the man to beat tonight. You just didn't want to say it because you knew my idea was better.
Way to go at it. Oh, here we go. Here's a good battle. Will Byers and the lap car Curtis Fife going at it. Curtis Fife trying to race his way back to 9 laps down.
I honestly think he's just doing it because he's bored. I mean, you can't exactly, unless you are Lightning McQueen, you are not racing yourself 10 laps. You're not getting back 10 laps.
Under green.
Under green, exactly.
Something's got to be up with that 53 machine. He just let Richard Eisel blast around him around the outside, and Curtis Fife just pulled the exact same thing on opposite sides of the track, too. So I wonder if Will Byers is trying to take a book out of some of NASCAR's greats and tire save and try and play the strategy game. 94 laps into tonight's event.
Yeah, and he probably doesn't want to risk battling with a car that's 10 laps down. There's no risk, no reward. Or high risk, no reward.
Absolutely. Richard Eisel still in command, kind of replicating what we saw before the first caution, building a 5.5 second gap over Will Byers, and kind of, he's just been pulling away. So,
Looks like Richard Eisel is taking a page out of Corey Haim's book from the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series and leaving everybody in his dust. As we approach here on lap 96, Richard Eisel with that commanding lead, about 6 seconds over Will Byers. He is pulling away, leaving everybody in the dust. What an absolute masterclass of a race from Richard Eisel.
pull up the track map. You can see where everyone is. Richard Eisel well out in front. You see the 53 machine of Will Byers sitting in position number 2. Note that 60 car, Curtis Fife, currently 10 laps down in the 5th position. Trevor Kelly and Richard Walls sitting 3rd and 4th respectively. Not having a terrible day for themselves. Richard Walls just kind of off the pace all day. Not really. I think he brought the wrong setup to tonight's event. And Trevor Kelly just having some bad luck, having that near spin on lap 1 and that actual spin on lap 72 to bring out the caution.
What can I say? It was very cinematic.
Absolutely. It was a very beautiful save. But does not do well for his Goodyear tires.
Man, they're fine. They're vegan tires now. They're covered in grass.
Gotta remember. Oh, Richard Eisel bringing his Ford Mustang down pit road. You think this is a scheduled stop, or is there something wrong with that 97? Which I doubt it. He was pulling away.
Definitely a scheduled stop. Definitely. As Will Byers takes the lead.
Will Byers leads uncontested for the first time in tonight's event. He had Richard Eisel right behind him the only other times he was out in front.
Yeah, and looking at the laps here, you get about 60 laps of fuel. So I believe this is a scheduled stop, as Will Byers also
makes
brings
his
it
way
in.
down pit road.
Yeah,
Trevor-
definitely scheduled stops.
Trevor Kelly now going to take the lead uncontested, as he's going to lead for the first time tonight.
Taking the lead, but with the provisional lead, obviously, is still Richard Eisel, who has dominated the entire night, may I add.
Absolutely. Richard Eisel out on track right behind the 60 of Curtis Fife, trying to get around him to better his distance over Will Byers, as Will Byers just now leaving his box. Trevor Kelly still out on track, lap 101 of 30. 30 laps to go.
Yeah, Trevor Kelly getting those much-needed lead lap points, or leading a lap points, which will help him in the point stands as he is leading, but definitely won't be after tonight's event.
Absolutely. Will Byers now going one lap down on pitch strategy. Trevor Kelly still stays out on track. Richard Walls finding himself in the second position, 11 seconds behind Trevor Kelly, your race leader. And here comes Will Byers unlapping himself. And Will Byers 16 seconds behind your next race leader, Richard Eisel. Reminder, Trevor Kelly is yet to come down pit road for his scheduled pit stop.
As it looks like, I thought Trevor Kelly was coming down there for a second. He slowed down in the middle of two. Looks like his tires are really starting to wear down on him.
Absolutely. And Trevor Kelly's got to come down pit road soon if he doesn't want a repeat of lap 1 or lap 72.
Exactly. Now, looking back on this race, obviously we could tell that Richard Eisel is driver of the day. No doubt in my mind. Putting on an absolute masterclass with Will Byers. The only difference being that Richard Eisel has been taking commanding leads as Trevor Kelly brings his M&M's Ice Cream Toyota Supra down pit road here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Richard Eisel did put a pass on Richard Walls for position. And
No surprise there.
Richard Eisel now takes the lead, passing Trevor Kelly down pit road. Curtis Fife exiting pit road right now, currently 10 laps down.
Well, on my screen, he's 9 laps down now, so looks like he gained a lap, but yet he has yet to come down. Actually, he's just leaving pit road now.
Will Byers exiting turn number 2, sitting in the 3rd position. Richard Walls in the 2nd position, coming out of turn number 4. Curtis Fife there in the background, you see.
Yeah, Richard Eisel taking over the lead with about a 6-ish second lead on my screen from 2nd place.
And how about Richard Walls? The day he's having, not the best, but he's been relatively incident-free, hasn't caused any cautions, hasn't caused any issues for leaders and lead lap cars when he was down laps, and just been out here just having the time of his life.
Feel him. He probably doesn't have a care in the world right now. He's just happy to be in 2nd, cruising.
Trevor Kelly
like
goes around, coming out of turn number 4. He keeps that car relatively damage-free. I don't see any damage on that car.
Yeah, no damage on the 36.
Just sideways, and just able to keep it off the wall, but not off of the grass. Some more tire stains through that as Richard Walls crashes. Take a look at this. Letting Curtis Fife by, letting Will Byers by, bounces off the outside wall. And locks it up, trying to come down towards pit road.
Supra is having a really bad stretch right there.
Unfortunate for him, comes down pit road. definitely going to get some 4 fresh tires. Richard Eisel still out in front.
With both Supras, right?
Still got a 10-second lead over Will Byers in position number 2.
With both Supras wrecking here on the same lap, you got to think with the little bit of a conspiracy theory here. Maybe it's like Cars 2 where they had that camera that had like the all-in-all fuel or whatever, and when you pointed it at the car, it blew up. Maybe Ford's trying to guarantee they have a 1-2 here.
I doubt that because Richard Eisel and Trevor Kelly are teammates, and I doubt your race leader is going to want your teammate to... If you're the race leader, I doubt you want your teammate to mess up and rack out because you're going to go... You want your teammate to finish right behind you, so you would... I highly doubt that, but you do you, I guess.
You were supposed to laugh. It was a joke.
Well, jokes are supposed to be funny. As you see the ticker flip 2 laps to go, we have 21 laps to go in tonight's event.
I take offense to what you just said.
Jokes are supposed to be funny. Well, it's true. Jokes are supposed to be funny.
They are, and I thought that was funny, and hopefully the Cars 2 nerds out there will think that's funny. As getting back on track to the actual race, this is why we're here. Will Byers is eating away at Richard Eisel's lead, now down to 8.6 seconds. Richard Eisel maybe used up some of his stuff earlier.
See, Will Byers in that 53, Richard Eisel in the 97. Only about 2 corners away, about a quarter of the track. And that is shrinking. Currently an 8-second lead, and that's diminishing lap by lap.
Will Byers is putting the pedal down, trying to catch up to Richard Eisel. We may be looking at a spectacular finish here, folks, with 19 laps to go here at America's home for racing, Charlotte Motor Speedway.
You know what we haven't done yet?
Oh boy.
Let's crank it up.
Fifteen laps to go here. 16 laps to go, my bad. Here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. As Richard Eisel is still in the lead, but Will Byers is slowly eating at that lead, now down to 6.4 seconds.
Absolutely, Will Byers pitting that lap after Richard Eisel has 1 lap fresher tires and using that to his advantage. Has been eating away at his lead ever since coming out of pit road.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks like Richard Eisel has used a bit more stuff than Will Byers has. Theoretically, a lap difference on tires is not this big of a difference. I just think Richard Eisel pushed it a lot harder than he should have and is now paying the price.
Absolutely. 15 laps to go. Only a 6.5 second gap. But look at Richard Eisel. You look on the track map, you see right in front of him, you have the 60 machine of Curtis Fife. Curtis Fife staying high, letting Richard Eisel pass. Good sportsmanship move, letting the leaders race. Curtis Fife, let's talk about him for a second. Curtis Fife not having the race he wanted, spun out lap 21, bringing out our first caution, having an incident later in the event, lap 40, not bringing out a caution, and still somehow chugging away, still out here, still turning laps, looking to gain as many points as he can, trying to pull back his, trying to gain as many points as he can with that 10-point gap that he has to the points leader, Trevor Kelly. Trevor Kelly sitting third in points, currently, or sitting third on track, currently your points leader, has had an up and down day, spun lap 1, able to climb back through that, through the couple cautions, able to compete with Richard Eisel and Will Byers, and then spun out lap 72 to bring out caution number 3, or caution number 2, and he's been climbing back up ever since. Will Byers bringing out caution, our most recent caution, caution number 3, able to rebound from that, and is currently chasing down your race leader, Richard Eisel, who has been in control for most of this race. Led a bunch of laps until our first caution, and he's been battling Will Byers, and he's also been pulling away, so he's had a bit of an up and down day as well, but not as much as his teammate Trevor Kelly, and not as much as someone like Curtis Fife or Richard Walls or Justin Morrow, who wrecked out earlier in tonight's event on lap 40.
Yes, and remember what we said about Will Byers gaining on Richard Eisel? That has since changed. It is sort of stagnant with him losing less than a tenth of a second every lap. So it looks like Richard Eisel finally woke up and decided to maybe push a little bit harder. Just proving once again that he is monumentally faster than Will Byers, and that I was correct, and you weren't.
You don't need to insult me over this, but just pulled up the lap history, and you see lap 116, lap 117, Will Byers gaining, but you look lap 18, that's when the switch happened. You see Will Byers consistently losing time. We're looking at Richard Eisler right now crossing the start finish line. Will Byers now entering turn number 1.
It is sort of up and down right now. He gains a little bit, then loses a little bit. Gains a little bit, loses a little bit. So it's kind of stagnant here when we have close to 8 laps to go here as Richard Eisel rounds turn 4 here.
7 laps to go in tonight, or 8 laps to go in tonight's event. Richard Eisel still out in front and pulling away from Will Byers in that lap. We see Curtis Fife bringing himself down to pit road again, once again.
A little bit weird, but alrighty then, as we go back to the battle here between Will Byers and Richard Eisel. Not really much of a battle, but Will Byers is still trying to chase down Richard Eisel, but not too much success as we come into 7 laps to go. Still 6 seconds on the leader. He would have to gain a second a lap to catch up to him, or a row caution, but I find neither of those very likely at all.
Absolutely. Richard Eisel really in lockdown mode right now. Just turning laps, trying to play the safe course. Not really pushing, but also not really letting off too much. Trevor Kelly is 1 lap down, but in that 3rd position, you see him at the bottom of your monitor right about now, and in the background of Will Byers, but not really a threat, being a lap behind.
Exactly. Now Richard Eisel is really extending his lead, as now it is 7 seconds instead of about 6.2, 6.3.
Only 2 cars on the lead lap. Only 3 cars out on track.
As we hit 5 laps to go.
Five laps of the 130 lap distance left in this race. Richard Eisel been leading and has been up front since the drop of the green flag. Curtis Fife You see on the left side of your monitor coming out of pit road, currently showing 15 laps down in tonight's event. Not a lot's been going on this race since the last caution. We had that big scare. We had the pitch strategy, but pitch strategy's really shown its hand. Will Byers falling back to about a 10-second gap, and Richard Eisel really showing everyone how it's done here at Charlotte.
Yeah, exactly. What a race from Richard Eisel, gonna be honest. Like, it has been an absolutely amazing clinic of a race here. As we approach 2 laps to go here.
At Charlotte Motor Speedway, Will Byers just not having the right pitch strategy throughout tonight's event. Had the speed during the middle parts, but just fell off, had the wrong pitch strategy, and just didn't have the best car in tonight's event.
Exactly. Races come down to not only the car, but the driver, and Richard Eisel has proven that he has been the superior driver today, along with the superior car, as Richard Eisel rounds turn 4 and takes the white flag presented by Manny Forte Crafts.
Richard Eisel entering turns 1 and 2 for the final time at speed. He's going to come out of turn number 2 and head down the backstretch. Underneath the giant TV screen, enters turn number 3 for the final time at speed. And as he rounds turn 4, no one in his windshield, no one in his mirror. Richard Eisel wins here at Charlotte.
What an absolute masterclass. What a clinic. Richard Eisel is your winner here at the Charlotte Slam 130 in the NLG Xfinity Series. What a race. What a race.
See him wiggling his car in celebration. And what a race for Richard Eisel. Finished 6th place last season as a little bit of after race kerfuffle, Curtis Fife going around. But Richard Eisel finishing 6th place last week at Daytona. Was sitting tied 5th entering this race, and some much needed points gained in tonight's event. And I wonder how many positions he's going to gain after this event.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
That wasn't a question. That was me talking.
No,
Will Byers Will Byers finishing in the 2nd position. Just a frustrating way to end a race after being one of the fastest cars while competing with the fastest car. Trevor Kelly finishing 1 lap down in the 3rd position, following his teammate with a 1-3 finish. Curtis Fife, Richard Walls, 4th and 5th, not finishing the night's event. And Justin Morrow finishing in the final position.
Yeah, what a race. And now, I think it's time for some post-race interviews. Let's interview the top 3 drivers, starting with the man who finished 3rd place, Trevor Kelly. Let's bring him up.
Oh,
Hey, Trevor Kelly, it's the guys in the booth. You got us?
yeah, I hear you.
All right, what a race, man. Up and down a little bit for you, finishing P3. What are your thoughts?
Well, I just had to try to hang on to it. I'm not great with tire saving, so I just had to hold on to it as best I could and just not go too many laps down.
You managed to do that very well. What about that very cinematic spin you had on, what was it, Rosca? Lap 70, 80?
Lap 72 to bring out caution number 2. That was a insane save you had. Brushed the wall coming out of turn number 2, or coming out of turn number 4, spun it through the infield, managing to keep that thing kind of on track, and managing to keep that car straight and off the walls, keeping that car undamaged.
Yeah, I was a little nervous I was going to come down into traffic and end up wiping somebody out, but it's just like I said, I'm just not good with the fresh tires. Definitely either right off the bat.
Yeah.
The
Had
super
that
speedway racing's more my style.
had that spin on lap 1. How did that change your mentality throughout the rest of that run and after that first caution?
Uh, I knew it was going to go like practice. Um, I just could not get the hang of it right off coming off the pit road with the fresh tires. The easing into the throttle, I got to do a little bit better than at that. I'm watching the replay right now of me getting a little air spinning. But
Absolutely. How proud are you of your teammate for this race, for dominating here at Charlotte?
it's nothing new. He did well in our last season with these types of races, so uh, good for him. I'm glad I got the podium, but
Absolutely. Winning last
I need,
week
I need
at
to learn a little
Daytona.
more from him.
Winning last week at Daytona, finishing 3rd position here. If you're not able to keep the points lead, you'll fall at worst to 2nd, maybe 3rd position. Any last remarks you have?
Oh no, it's fun. Glad you guys were here to broadcast it.
And we are happy to be here. Thank you so much for joining us here in the booth. What a finish. All right, now it is time to bring in the 2nd place driver. Let's bring up Will Byers.
Hello.
Hey, Will Byers, great finish there. P2, what are your thoughts?
A little disappointed with it. Coming out of the yellow, I was listening to the broadcast a little bit. We both, all of us had one set after the yellow, and me and Salty had decided to not take tires on that last stop, so that's why I fell off so much. And then on the pit stop, Richard Eisel, he didn't take tires. I took tires, was able to run it down by 10 seconds, and then just kind of burned my stuff up at that point. They evened out, so not much you can do. Thought it would have worked, but it didn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And those battles with Richard Eisel towards the middle of that race, did you have any thoughts in your head about, hey, maybe this is a race I can actually win? Maybe this is a race that I have a chance to pass and take some and take this race instead of Richard Eisel?
Yeah. I mean, I was shocked. The first run, I think, wasn't really a good show of pace. I had on lap 2, picked up really bad wheel damage. That's fell off by like 12 seconds or whatever it was. But I knew I had the speed to match, and we were pretty even throughout practice. I've always been better on the short run than him, and he's always been better on the long run. And in a race with few people, the long run is always going to be better.
Absolutely. During that last run, when you started falling off, were you like, this is it? It's Richard Eisel's win. And you just fell and you just started pacing laps, trying not to wreck so you can keep 2nd?
I was never really worried about losing second. I had a lap on Trevor, but the last run, yeah, got it down by about 10 seconds with the fresh tires, and then just pushed a little too hard, smacked. I actually had rear wheel damage somehow, so the car was. I had to crank the wheel about 45 degrees to the right to keep it going straight, so it wasn't fun to drive, but finished the race. So
Absolutely built up a sweat doing that, I assume.
a little bit, yeah.
Any last remarks before we let you go and celebrate this 2nd place finish?
No, I guess on to Homestead.
On the Homestead it goes.
Thank you so much for joining us here in the booth. Will Byers, your 2nd place finisher. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for. It is time to bring our winner, Richard Eisel, up into the booth. Welcome. Great win, man. Congratulations. What are your thoughts?
I thought I was going to lose in the last few laps because I saw him gain 8 seconds on me before we got down to 6/10.
Yeah, he was gaining on you there in the end, but you were able to hold it off and take the win there.
I knew he had the new tires, so I knew he was going to be coming. Like I didn't expect us to just level out at 0.6 seconds though, because I was better on the exits, but he was a lot better on the entry, and then we just leveled off with like 8 to go, and I was like, okay, if I just ride this out, we should be good. And then he said he hit the wall and got damaged, so I was like, oh, there we go.
So winning this race saw you finish 6th position in the season opener last week at Daytona. How,
Yeah.
how confident are you that you're going to be towards the top of the standings, and how confident are you going into Homestead thinking that you can take thinking you can take away the top spot if you don't have it already?
I'm pretty confident in these cars, to be honest. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm definitely the fastest, but Will is so much better on strategy. So yeah, that's my downfall of strategy.
Absolutely. Every driver has his strengths. Every driver has his weakness. What are your thoughts on your teammate Trevor Kelly finishing 3rd, bolstering
Finished third.
your team points?
Well, we won both races by now, so that's really good. I got pole in both. We're really fast. He won Daytona last week, and yeah.
Absolutely. Any last remarks before we let you go and celebrate with your team?
Well, to be honest, this race was like Taco Bell propaganda with my car and Will's car.
That is what we were talking about in the broadcast. We saw
Yeah.
you had the Taco Bell pass of the race earlier tonight's event. Just sent it
Yeah, you guys even get sponsored by them?
full send around the outside in turns 3 and 4 earlier tonight's event, passing for the lead around the outside in 3 and 4, passing Will Byers. Any thoughts on that?
Well, it worked the first time. I don't think it worked the second time.
That is
I didn't spin like you said I would before the race, so.
That is one thing that goes in every driver's after they've done something impressive is it worked the first time. Maybe it'll work again.
Yeah.
All right, Richard, we're going to let you go. Celebrate with your team.
Thank you,
And
dude.
yeah. What a race tonight here at Charlotte. Richard Eisel, your race winner. Will Byers finishing 2nd. Trevor Kelly 1 lap down in the 3rd position. Curtis Fife in 4th. Trevor Kelly in 5th. And Justin Morrow finishing in the 6th position. That is everything from us. Have a good night, and we'll see you next week at Homestead Miami Speedway for the Next Level Gaming Xfinity Series race number 3, brought to you by the Green Flag Racing Network.